Welcome to Quiz Time. My name is Simon and I will be your host for the next 100 questions. Sit back, relax, and let's get started. Which psychiatric treatment gained widespread acceptance despite later controversy? Insulin therapy, psychosurgery, or electroconvulsive therapy? Electroconvulsive therapy is correct. The organization wives phenomenon was first studied by which sociologist? Helena Zanicki-Lopata, Margaret Mead, or Betty Friedan? Helena Zanicki-Lopata. What architectural material defined post-war institutional buildings? Glass curtain, reinforced concrete, or steel frame? Reinforced concrete is correct. Which economist coined the term countervailing power? Paul Samuelson, Simon Kuznets, or John Kenneth Galbraith? John Kenneth Galbraith is correct. The Grey Flannel Rebellion was chronicled in which 1956 novel? The Status Seekers, The Crack in the Picture Window, or The Hidden Persuaders? The Crack in the Picture Window is the correct novel. What meditation practice first reached American universities? Zen Buddhism, Vipassana, or Transcendental Meditation? Zen Buddhism is correct. Which pharmaceutical breakthrough emerged from wartime penicillin research? Streptomycin, chloramphenicol, or tetracycline? Streptomycin is correct. Herbert Hendon is the correct psychiatrist. What scientific discovery challenged traditional geological timescales? Carbon-14 dating, plate tectonics, or continental drift? Carbon-14 dating is correct. Which labor union leader pioneered pattern bargaining? Walter Reuther, George Meany, or Jimmy Hoffa? Walter Reuther is correct. The affluent worker thesis originated from which British study? Liverpool Docklands, Luton Studies, or Bethnal Green Research? Luton Studies is correct. What psychological concept replaced shell shock terminology? Combat fatigue, post-traumatic stress, or battle necrosis? Post-traumatic stress is correct. Which Supreme Court decision preceded Brown v. Board by 4 years? Sweat v. Painter, McLaurin v. Oklahoma, or Sequel v. Board? Sweat v. Painter is correct. The end of ideology thesis was proposed by which political scientist? Seymour Martin Lipset, Daniel Bell, or Edward Shultz? Daniel Bell is the correct political scientist. What therapeutic approach emerged from existential philosophy? Gestalt therapy, logotherapy, or client-centered therapy? Logotherapy is correct. Which demographic shift characterized post-war American society? Suburban explosion, rural migration, or urban renewal? Suburban explosion is correct. The other directed personality type was analyzed by which sociologist? Wright Mills, Talcott Parsons, or David Reisman? David Reisman is the correct sociologist. What educational philosophy dominated progressive schools? Child-centered learning, core curriculum, or vocational training? Child-centered learning is correct. Which medical breakthrough revolutionized childhood disease prevention? Antibiotics, polio vaccine, or vitamin supplements? Polio vaccine is correct. The power elite concept was developed by which sociologist? Floyd Hunter, Robert Dahl, or C. Wright Mills? C. Wright Mills is correct. What urban planning concept shaped post-war development? Neighborhood unit, garden city, or radiant city? Neighborhood unit is correct. Which psychological theory influenced post-war child rearing? Behaviorism, attachment theory, or cognitive development? Attachment theory is correct. The culture of poverty thesis was proposed by which anthropologist? Margaret Mead, Ruth Benedict, or Oscar Lewis? Oscar Lewis is correct. What communication theory emerged from wartime research? Uses and gratifications, electrons, or media ecology? Electrons is correct. Which housing innovation addressed the suburban boom? Ranch style, split level design, or tract development? Tract development is correct. The authoritarian personality study was conducted by which researcher? Theodore Adorno, Stanley Milgram, or Solomon Asch? Theodore Adorno is correct. What family structure became the post-war ideal? Extended family, nuclear family, or blended family? Nuclear family is correct. Which economic indicator gained prominence during the baby boomer era? Consumer confidence, unemployment rate, or gross national product? Gross national product is correct. The hidden curriculum concept emerged from which educational study? Classroom observation, standardized testing, or curriculum analysis? Classroom observation is correct. What therapeutic community model influenced mental health treatment? Therapeutic milieu, halfway houses, or day hospitals? What therapeutic milieu is correct. Which social movement preceded the civil rights era? Freedom rides, Montgomery boycott, or double versus campaign? Double versus campaign is correct. The sick role concept was developed by which sociologist? Talcott Parsons, Ervik Goffman, or Robert Merton? Talcott Parsons is correct. What educational assessment tool gained widespread adoption? Achievement tests, aptitude batteries, or intelligence quotients? Aptitude batteries is correct. Which psychiatric institution model replaced state hospitals, community centers, outpatient clinics, or rehabilitation centers? Community centers is correct. The lonely crowd metaphor described which social condition? Urban isolation, conformity pressure, or cultural alienation? Conformity pressure is correct. What consumer protection movement emerged in the 1950s? Product safety, truth in advertising, or fair pricing? Truth in advertising. Which demographic research method gained scientific credibility? Census analysis, statistical modeling, or survey sampling? Survey sampling is correct. The Culture and Personality School was led by which anthropologist? Franz Boas, Bronislaw Malinowski, or Ruth Benedict? Ruth Benedict is correct. What rehabilitation approach emerged from wartime medicine? Physical therapy, speech therapy, or occupational therapy? Occupational therapy is correct. Which housing policy shaped post-war suburbs? FHA mortgages, urban renewal, or public housing? FHA mortgages is correct. The reference group theory was developed by which sociologist? Herbert Heyman, Leon Festinger, or Robert Merton? Robert Merton is correct. What educational tracking system became controversial? Ability grouping, vocational streaming, or IQ-based placement? IQ-based placement. Which therapeutic approach emphasized patient experience? Gestalt therapy, psychoanalysis, or behavioral modification? Gestalt therapy is correct. The mass society critique was articulated by which theorist? Dwight MacDonald, Daniel Bell, or Hannah Arendt? Hannah Arendt is correct. What suburban planning principle emphasized automobile access? Functional zoning, mixed development, or pedestrian orientation? Functional zoning is correct. Which psychological disorder gained recognition during the baby boomer period? Anxiety disorders, personality disorders, or schizophrenia subtypes? Schizophrenia subtypes. The human potential movement originated from which therapeutic approach? Psychoanalysis, humanistic psychology, or group therapy? Humanistic psychology is correct. What social research method revolutionized opinion polling? Market research, random sampling, or stratified sampling? Stratified sampling. Which educational philosophy emphasized practical skills, life adjustment, progressive education, or academic preparation? Life adjustment is correct. The Total Institute concept was developed by which sociologist? Howard Becker, Harold Garfinkel, or Ervig Goffman? Ervig Goffman is correct. What medical model influenced mental health treatment? Holistic approach, preventative care, or disease clarification? Disease clarification is correct. Which consumer behavior theory emerged from market research? Motivation research, brand loyalty, or market segmentation? Motivation research is correct. The Achievement Society concept was developed by which sociologist? Talcott Parsons, Alex Ingalls, or David McClelland? David McClelland is correct. What family therapy approach gained professional recognition? Marriage counseling, individual counseling, or group counseling? Individual counseling is correct. Which urban renewal strategy dominated city planning? Historic preservation, neighborhood rehabilitation, or slum clearance? Slum clearance is correct. The status anxiety phenomenon was analyzed by which researcher? Vance Packard, William H. White, or Richard Hofstadter? Richard Hofstadter is correct. What psychological testing movement gained educational influence? Personality assessment, aptitude measurement, or achievement evaluation? Aptitude measurement is correct. Which therapeutic community concept influenced addiction treatment? Synanon model, halfway houses, or outpatient programs? Synanon model is correct. The suburbanization of poverty was first documented by which researcher? Bennett Berger, Gary Bridge, or William Dopreiner? William Dopreiner is correct. What social welfare approach emphasized professional intervention? Community organization, group work, or casework method? Casework method is correct. Which educational innovation addressed diverse learning needs? Team teaching, program instruction, or flexible scheduling? Team teaching is correct. The presentation of self theory was developed by which sociologist? George Herbert Mead, Charles Horton Cooley, or Irving Goffman? Irving Goffman is correct. What psychological concept explained conformity behavior? Narcissism, social learning, or group dynamics? Social learning is correct. Which housing design reflected changing family patterns? Colonial revival, split level, or ranch style? Ranch style is correct. The culture of narcissism critique originated from which perspective? Sociological analysis, psychoanalytical theory, or cultural criticism? Psychoanalytic theory is correct. What rehabilitation model emerged from disability rights advocacy? Medical treatment, prosthetics, or independent living? Independent living is correct. Which research methodology revolutionized social science? Participant observation, controlled experiments, or statistical analysis? Controlled experiments. The feminine mystique phenomenon was first identified by which researcher? Margaret Mead, Betty Friedan, or Mira Komarovsky? Betty Friedan is correct. What therapeutic approach emphasized cognitive processes? Behavior modification, rational therapy, or client-centered therapy? Rational therapy is correct. Which demographic transition characterized post-war America? Baby boom, life expectancy increase, or marriage age decline? Baby boom is correct. The labeling theory in deviance was developed by which sociologist? Howard Becker, Frank Tannenbaum, or Edwin Lemert? Edwin Lemert is correct. Which educational assessment emphasized individual differences? Standardized testing, portfolio evaluation, or criterion referencing? Portfolio evaluation is correct. Which mental health approach emphasized community integration? Institutional care, outpatient treatment, or deinstitutionalization? Deinstitutionalization is correct. The organization man syndrome was characterized by which trait? Group conformity, individual achievement, or corporate loyalty? Group conformity is correct. What family planning innovation gained widespread acceptance? Birth control pill, rhythm method, or barrier methods? Birth control pill is correct. What social movement employed non-violent resistance strategies? Labor organizing, civil rights campaigns, or peace demonstrations? Civil rights campaigns is correct. The medicalization concept was developed by which medical sociologist? Elliot Friedson, Mark Abrams, or Talcott Parsons? Talcott Parsons is correct. What educational philosophy emphasized student centered learning? Essentialism, perennialism, or progressivism? Progressivism is correct. Which therapeutic approach emphasized group dynamics? T groups, encounter groups, or group counseling? T groups is correct. The suburban captivity thesis was proposed by which researcher? David Reisman, Gibson Winter, or William H. White? Gibson Winter is the correct researcher. What psychological theory influenced educational practice? Development stages, learning theory, or behaviorism? Developmental stages is correct. Which housing policy addressed racial segregation? Public housing, urban renewal, or fair housing? Fair housing is correct. The end of scarcity thesis was proposed by which economist? Walt Rostow, Paul Samuelson, or John Kenneth Galbraith? John Kenneth Galbraith is correct. What therapeutic community model influenced substance abuse treatment? Alcoholics Anonymous, halfway houses, or therapeutic communities? Therapeutic communities is correct. Which social research method studied natural groups? Ethnographic observation, survey research, or experimental design? Ethnographic observation is correct. The culture of professionalism concept was developed by which historian? Richard Hofstadter, Christopher Lasch, or Burton Bledstein? Burton Bledstein is correct. What educational innovation addressed individual learning style? Ability grouping, flexible promotion, or individual instruction? Individual instruction. Which psychological approach emphasized human potential? Behaviorism, human psychology, or cognitive psychology? Humanistic psychology is correct. The technostructure concept was introduced by which economist? Adolf Bull, James Burnham, or John Kenneth Galbraith? John Kenneth Galbraith is correct. What family structure emerged from changing social patterns? Extended families, patriarchal households, or compassionate marriage? Compassionate marriage is correct. Which therapeutic approach emphasized here and now experience? Psychoanalysis, behavior therapy, or Gestalt therapy? Gestalt therapy is correct. The student culture phenomenon was first studied by which researcher? Samuel Stouffer, Robert Hubbinghurst, or James Coleman? James Coleman is correct. What medical breakthrough revolutionized surgical procedures? Artificial kidneys, cardiac pacemaker, or heart-lung machine? Heart-lung machine is correct. Which social movement challenged traditional authority structures? Non-profit organizations, labor unions, or women's organizations? Labor unions is correct. The meritocracy concept was popularized by which British sociologist? T.H. Marshall, David Glass, or Michael Young? Michael Young is correct. What psychological testing innovation influenced personnel selection? Intelligence tests, personality inventories, or aptitude batteries? Personality inventories. Which urban planning concept influenced suburban development? Garden city, linear city, or neighborhood unit? Neighborhood unit is correct. The false consciousness concept was applied to which social phenomenon? Political participation, religious beliefs, or customer culture? Customer culture is correct. What educational tracking system became institutionalized? Academic streaming, comprehensive schooling, or vocational education? Academic streaming is correct. Which therapeutic innovations addressed family dysfunction? Individual therapy, group counseling, or family systems therapy? Family systems therapy is correct. Congratulations and well done on completing this quiz. Leave your score below, and as always, remember to like and subscribe to join us next time for some fun on quiz time.